Hi everyone, hope you're having a great day. Today we're looking at the axis of symmetry. So before the lesson, let's recall the standard form of a quadratic. It's y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And remember, the a is pretty important because if the a is positive, then the graph smiles, looks like this, but if it's negative, the graph frowns. So you need to also remember the vertex. Remember, it is the maximum or the minimum, depending on the parabola. And symmetry, that's what today's video is about. What does that mean? Well, basically, if you want to cut something exactly in half, that's what symmetry is. So this avocado has already been cut in half, but we can cut it in another half, just like this. And this kiwi right here, same thing, just cut it right in half. Even this piece of bread, just like that. And if you wanted to, you could even cut this Minecraft block in half if you so desired. And if you were really ambitious, you might even try to crack this egg in half, but you might encounter some difficulties. Anyway, what if we wanted to cut a parabola in half instead? And that's where the axis of symmetry comes in. The axis of symmetry is an imaginary line that cuts the axis, that cuts the parabola in half at the vertex. So like I said, it's an invisible line that cuts the graph in half. It's a vertical line. So it goes from top to bottom and it's in the form x equals a number. So let's see this in action. And before we get into that, how do we find it? Well, we have to use this formula. X equals negative b divided by 2a. So that's where standard form is going to come in. We're going to find our axis of symmetry by going back to our standard form and getting our b and a and plugging it in to our formula for the axis of symmetry. So let's look at this first example. We know that our a is 1 because there's an imaginary 1 in front of this x squared. Our b is negative 2 and our c negative 8. Okay, so we know that our formula is x equals negative b. So our b is negative 2 divided by 2 times 1. So 2 times 1. So on the top, we know that a negative times a negative is a positive. So we have positive 2 on top. 2 times 1 is 2. So we have 2 in the denominator. Finally, 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1. Okay, so now we have to put it back with the x. So we can just say x equals 1 is our axis of symmetry. All right, try this one on your own. So we have x squared plus x minus 2. Our a is 1, our b is also 1, and our c is negative 2. We know our formula is x equals negative b, which is 1, divided by 2 times 1. So 2 times 1 is just 2, so I'm just going to go ahead and put 2. Okay. We have x equals negative 1/2, and that is our axis of symmetry. Okay, so before we even get into solving this problem, let's just look at it. How can we simplify this? Every term is divisible by 2. I can divide each of these by 2 and get a whole number, a natural number as my answer. And just for fun, a natural number is a number that is a counting number. So like 1, 2, 3, and so on. So knowing this, I can make it a lot easier to solve this problem by just dividing everything by 2. So if I do that, we get 2x squared divided by 2 is just x squared negative 8x divided by 2 is negative 4x, and negative 42 divided by 2 is negative 21. So we know our A is 1, our B is negative 4, and our C negative 21. So let's plug it into our formula. X equals negative B, which is negative 4, divided by 1. 2 times 1. So 2 times 1, which is our A. We already know that that's 2, but I'll still write it this time. So that's equal to, well, before we do that, a negative times a negative is a positive. So we have 4, do that in white, 4 divided by 2 times 1, which is 2. That's equal to 2. So our axis of symmetry is x equals 2. All right, so try this on your own. All right, so I promise I'm not crazy, but it's just really the same thing. I know we have 300, but if we divide everything by 5, we have a simpler problem. So let's do just that. 5x squared divided by 5 is just x squared. Negative 35x divided by 5 is 7x, and 300 divided by 5 is 60, or in this case, negative 6. We have negative 300 divided by 5. Okay, so our A is 1, our B is negative 7, and our C is negative 60. Okay, so we know our formula is x equals negative B, which is negative 7, divided by 2 times 1, which is our A. Okay, so on the numerator, we see we have a negative times a negative, and that is just a positive. So we have positive 7 divided by 2 times 1, and we have 2 over 7 equals x as our axis of symmetry. All right, and that concludes this video. I hope this was helpful for you, and as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask your teacher.